Hello and welcome to the total upper body fascia release protocol. Today I have the gua sha blade, I have a clean pair of hands, I have organic virgin cold pressed coconut oil and organic single ingredient castor oil. Just a fair warning, if you do have sensitive skin, coconut oil and castor oil can make you break out when you put it on your face. And I'm also gonna be using my own moisturizer today. Just for the people who have sensitive skin, we will be gua sha blading the jaw to release trapped fascia within the jaw, get a good toxin release. So I'm using my own moisturizer for my jaw today, and I recommend you do too. That way you don't have to put oil on your face and break out. This total upper body fascia release protocol was designed to release toxins, to restore the fascia back to its original state, become more elastic. We are emphasizing release on all the different muscles that really get negatively affected from sitting and within our modern lifestyle. So we will be releasing the other root of the body, which is the jaw. And then we're gonna be moving from the jaw through the neck, the chest, the front delts, the diaphragm. This way, after you do this protocol, you should feel incredible. And fair warning, this protocol will most likely cause bruising, but remember, with every treatment, the bruising will become less and less as that tissue becomes healthier and healthier, and the bruising will only show up for the places where you have trapped, stagnant fascial adhesions. We're gonna start with an open mouth gua sha blading one side of the masseter muscle. We're gonna do 20 passes. If you find any spot on that muscle that feels tight or hurts, you can pause the tutorial and do more reps.
When it comes to scraping, keeping the muscle in a stretched position is usually the most optimal for getting the best results from scraping. This means keeping the muscle in a lengthened position, such as opening the mouth to stretch the masseter in this case. But this concept can be applied to all muscles and the rest of the body. For most muscles, we're doing anywhere from 10 to 50 full scrapes over the entire muscle line. For some people, the higher rep ranges, such as 50 scrapes, will be too much. We will be using the round edge of the gua sha blade throughout most of the tutorial.
Switching to the other side.
If 50 feels like too much, do not feel discouraged. As you do these tutorials and techniques, the pain will become less and less and you'll be able to do more and more reps. So do not feel discouraged if you cannot do the full amount of reps this first time around. The main focus should be applying a decent amount of pressure to the entire muscle line. This is because we are currently searching around the muscle line to find any fascial adhesions where tightness has occurred and tissue has become stagnant. When you find an adhesion, you can always pause the tutorial and do more little mini scrapes right on that adhesion. With every tutorial in pain relief school, always feel free to do more reps or spend more time on any muscle.
Now we're gonna do a little bit of ART, active release technique, getting pressure on that muscle in a place that is tight or hurts and moving that muscle through a full range of motion. On the masseter.
Starting by opening and closing the mouth straight up and down while nestling our fingers up in between our cheekbone and jaw. This is a good place to search around in this area for a place that is tight or hurts. When you find a place that is tight or hurts, feel free to pause the tutorial and do more. Now doing a couple underbite overbite technique, underbiting and overbiting, just to really release that muscle in another way. The masseter is probably the very most important muscle in the entire body. That's why I am emphasizing it so much in this protocol.
Last thing, a little stretch on the masseter, taking our 3 fingers, putting the middle finger on our tongue and the other 2 fingers on our back molars.
Looking straight up and then allowing gravity to pull our jaw down. The jaw is one of the most important and overlooked areas in the entire body because it directly connects the nervous system and multiple fascia lines that run through the neck, chest, spine, and even down through the hips into the big toe. When the jaw is tight or clenched from stress, mouth breathing,
other side,
that tension does not stay local. Fascia is a continuous network, so that restriction in the jaw creates compensation everywhere else. When the jaw releases, it sends a powerful signal of safety throughout the entire body, instantly increasing strength and flexibility, and for a lot of people, reducing stress as well.
Moving on to the neck, make sure you have plenty of oil here. You don't want to do this without oil. It is very important that you have oil. Okay, once you're oiled up, we're going to start with the sternos, going all the way up and down this muscle, getting that muscle in a stretched position, taking our right ear to our right shoulder, going all the way up and down this muscle. Remember, you are going to bruise from this most likely, but just know that bruising is a good thing. You're going to be opening up stagnant tissue.
After you do this protocol a few times, the tissue will become healthier and you will begin to bruise less and less.
Taking deep breaths. We're going to do 20 passes up and down.
We're searching for bumpy or places on this muscle line that is tight or hurts.
That muscle line.
As soon as you find a place on the muscle line that is tight or hurts, you can pause the tutorial and do more mini scrapes right on that spot that is tight.
You find a place on this muscle line that is tight or hurts, you can pause the tutorial and do a targeted treatment. I have a spot right around here, and I'm going to do mini scrapes with a good amount of pressure right on it. Okay, moving on to the scalenes. Kind of in between the trap and collarbone, scraping all up in this neck area.
The fascia network of the scalenes directly influences the arms and hands. The nerve network that innervates the shoulders, arms, and hands passes between the anterior and middle scalenes, meaning the scalene tension and fascial adhesions within the scalenes can alter nerve signaling, circulation, and muscle function throughout the entire arm all the way into the hands.
If you find a place on the muscle line that's tight or hurts, mini scrapes right on that spot. If it's bumpy, maintaining deep breath. All right, moving on to the trap. Getting all up and down that trap. You can use your opposite hand to help you. Sometimes you might need to take a break because this can be pretty demanding physically. So if you need to take a break, just pause the tutorial, take a break. I almost always use the round edge of the gua sha blade. Make sure you have plenty of oil. It should feel really good. So if for some reason the castor oil is too rough on your skin, use coconut oil. The coconut oil makes it glide so nicely, so easily. Last thing, using the same side hand, doing the back of the neck. I have hair in the way, so I'm gonna move it. And especially this muscle right here, I have noticed, for some reason, the skin's really, really tough right here. So for this muscle, using coconut oil rather than castor oil is most likely a good option.
Now, I understand that most likely at this point, you're probably experiencing a little bit of fatigue in scraping the muscles. If at any time you need to pause the tutorial to give your arms a rest, please take the time to pause the tutorial and do a rest. You don't need to rush through this. The point of this tutorial is to take you through all the muscles negatively affected by sitting.
Making sure we hit that whole entire muscle, getting all up in there, going a little side, a little back to the middle. If you have any place that's tight or hurts, usually the base of the skull right here is tight on a lot of people. Right here. Getting in there, mini scrapes. All right, moving on to the other side. Starting with the sterno, we're taking our left ear down to our left shoulder. Stretching that muscle while it's getting scraped. Maintaining full breath.
Remember, the point of this tutorial is to help you release stagnant tissue and toxic waste, increase strength without adding any muscle, unlock flexibility that you didn't think you had.
Getting the base of it, getting the top of it. Not pressing too hard here or anything, just being kind to yourself. It should feel great. It should feel like an amazing massage that feels good. It might hurt a little bit the first few times you do it, but that's because the tissue is unhealthy. Once you break up that stagnant tissue, it will hurt way less and less. It will bruise less and less, and you will feel so much better. You will sleep so much better. You will experience a lot of the benefits of fascia release.
Thank you so much for going through this tutorial with me and trusting me.
If you have any questions, feel free to post in the community. Ask them. I'm excited to hear what you have to say and how this makes you feel.
We're increasing blood flow to sleep deeper and wake up feeling restored.
All right. Doing about 20 to 30 to 40 scrapes on this muscle. You can do more. You can always pause the tutorial to do more. Moving on to the scalenes, getting up in this, in between the trap and collarbone. You might have to support your other arm or pause the tutorial and take a break.
Doing this, we're going to be opening up blood flow, increasing circulation so that we can sleep deeper, wake up feeling more restored. We're going to be increasing energy, focus, and mental clarity, feeling lighter, calmer, and more connected throughout our entire body. After you finish this tutorial, please let me know how you feel.
A lot of times what happens to me when I do these tutorials, not when I'm doing the tutorials, when I'm doing it on my own, I'll be doing it in the bathroom. I love doing these in the bathroom before bed at night, but I will, when I find a spot, I will work on that spot for 5 minutes straight.
My goal here is to guide you into finding your own spots that need the most work. Understand that we all have similar fascia patterns due to sitting.
Moving on to the trap.
The traps also have a very powerful influence on the whole arms because it stabilizes the scapula, which determines the shoulder mechanics and directly affects how force, nerve signaling, and movement are transmitted into the upper arm and hand.
Anywhere from 20 to 40 scrapes along that muscle is usually enough, especially the first few times. You can always do more. More pressure, more reps usually leads to quicker results. You want to be careful sometimes with the pressure. I have, in my experience, one time I did pop a blood vessel. It wasn't painful. It didn't do anything bad to me. It healed in like 2 days, but it was a big green bruise for a little bit because I just really put a lot of pressure because it felt so good. So just be a little careful. All right, same side hand. Back of the neck on the opposite side, getting to the base of the skull.
I know what you're thinking. Oh no, popping blood vessels. The truth is, the blood vessel that I popped was pretty weak to begin with and already had some other fascial damage. Oil plating works by reducing fascial friction, improving tissue hydration, and stimulating blood flow in mechanoreceptors, which helps restore glide between tissue layers and calm the nervous system. This is why after doing this protocol, you will most likely feel so calm and so much more powerful with your actual muscles.
This spot can get stuck for a lot of people. With our modern lifestyle, these areas get really trapped because we're hunched over, and we're gonna reverse that. We're gonna draw in fresh blood flow to stagnant areas and increase total oxygen flow, open up our lymph, give our body room to circulate and excrete toxins. All right, we're now moving on to the chest and shoulders, and even a little bit on the back of the shoulders. Okay, a lot of people are tight in these two areas. Oil up in the armpit. We're gonna use our thumb and we're gonna dig up into our armpit and try and get on the opposite end of our shoulder blade. Okay, we're pressing our thumb up in here. We're gonna dig around with our thumb, digging up in here, searching around for any place that's tight. It's usually, you can usually feel your thumb grab your fingers on the blade. We're gonna dig around in here. When we find a place that's tight or hurts, we're gonna get good pressure on it. Just move this muscle a little.
Right after I filmed this tutorial and did this fascia release protocol with you, I went and did pull-ups and I instantly increased my strength by 33%. So if you work out, please do this protocol right before workout, see how it affects you.
Okay, getting good pressure on it. You can also just try and flex and relax that muscle.
Now we're just going in with a static hold, digging around with our thumb.
Digging our thumb in there.
Just wiggling the thumb, trying to find anywhere in there that's tight or hurts.
Going all the way up and down this shoulder blade. Looking for any place that's tight or hurts. When you find a place that's tight or hurts, you can always do a static hold as well. Static holds work wonders on this. This muscle right here is tight on like 99% of humans. So when I first found out how tight I was right here, I would walk around and put my hand up in my shirt just at random times throughout the day and just press on myself and release it because it felt so good. Okay, digging around.
One of the main skills you're learning is understanding your body and where you are tight. By finding the places you are the most tight, you are going to experience the most potent level of all the fascia release benefits.
All right, moving to the other side. Digging up in this lat into the armpit. Finding anywhere that's tight or hurts. You also give your lat a little massage here if you want. But mostly going up in that armpit, trying to get that thumb and press it into the blade in your back. You're pressing your blade out. And like I said, this is a spot that's really tight for most people. So you're very blessed to have found this at the timing that you did. And most likely, if you're tight here, you're gonna wish that you had found this earlier because it just feels so good after you do it. I'm doing a test after creating this where I'm gonna go see if I am stronger after doing a fascia release, doing a total upper body fascia release. And after this, I'm going to do an exercise and see if I can beat my personal best. Okay. Notice how that feels. Option to pause the tutorial and do more presses up in the armpits. If you're ready to move on, we're gonna go with the gua sha blade and we're gonna do our whole chest, starting with the inside, doing about 20 up and down of the middle chest. Being kind here, you don't have to do it too hard. And I like to stretch the chest here. We're gonna go up and down about 10 to 20 times down the middle. We're gonna go down the mid 10 to 20 times.
By the way, I went and did that strength test and I literally increased my strength by 33%, which is insane because I've been lifting for years and I've never had an increase that significant at once.
And then going down the upper outer. Stretching that muscle. Can even do a little bit of this. Make sure you get on this inside part of the chest, right up in here. If you find any place on the muscle line that's tight or hurts, do some mini scrapes on there. Don't skip the mini scrapes right here or anywhere that's tight or hurts. I'm getting a great release right here, so. Okay, moving on to the front delt. Going all the way from the clavicle down that front delt, hitting just the top of the bicep.
If you want to go off on your own here and try and just hit the bicep, forearm, tricep, you are totally welcome to do so.
Usually, where that delt meets the bicep, people usually bruise right around in here. That is a trigger point. In my trigger point map, I have a map of trigger points, and usually the places where the trigger points are where fascial adhesions occur, which is where the bruising arises, which is where your stagnant tissue is. It's where the toxins are trapped. It's where the muscle's trapped. If you've made it this far, thank you for following along. This is amazing. I'm truly so grateful that you're here and willing to try this. I know this is probably kind of weird, but it truly is amazing for the health and vitality of the body. So I'm excited to hear how you feel afterwards. And tomorrow you'll probably be a little bit sore, but hopefully in like a week, your upper body will feel infinitely better than it's ever felt. All right, moving on to the side delt. Side delt doesn't need as much, just 10 to 20. And then moving on to the rear delt, I like to help myself here. And we're really doing the 12 and 13 here. And if you can't reach this far, you might want to ask for help from someone, because this is a spot that's tight. This is the other side of that muscle that we just pressed on.
If you want really advanced shoulder enhancement, go to the shoulder pain protocol and try the oil scraping and the shoulder pain. Just be sure to include the back of the neck as well.
If you need to take a break, take a little break. Not forgetting to do that rear delt. Doing the rear delt, doing the 12 and 13. I honestly, doing the rear delt, using our opposite hand to help ourselves here. If you need a partner, this is a great place to ask for help from a friend, your mom, your dad, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever is willing to help you with this, because this is a spot that's trapped on almost everyone. All right, moving on to the lat.
The lat seems to be a place where skin gets pretty tough, so make sure you have enough oil here. Option to use coconut oil.
Making sure to hit all parts of this lat. If you find a place that's tight or hurts, do some mini scrapes right on that spot. All right. Okay, moving on to the other side, starting with that inner chest. Getting all the way up to the clavicle, going all the way down to the lower chest. If you find a place in the muscle line that's tight or hurts, do some mini scrapes right on that spot. Please do not forget to drink water after this. You are actually releasing so many toxins when you do this. So give yourself some support, drink some water, help that toxin release be efficient. Okay, moving on to the middle. Sometimes the nipple seems to be a little bit sensitive. I don't like to go over the nipple as much. Maybe that means my tissue's unhealthy. Oh man, I can feel it right here. I feel I have a spot that's tight or hurts. Yeah, and I'm bruising. That's a fascial adhesion right there. And you see some others that came out. I'll put a picture on the screen of the first time I ever did this protocol to myself. I was insanely bruised, and you can see this is how much I bruise now. Like, it's really so minimal compared to what it used to be. It was like the first time you do it, you're gonna get bruised. So please don't feel discouraged. It's gonna happen the first 2 to 5 times maybe. And after that, your tissue will be so healthy. It'll feel so good. And there won't be stagnant tissue that needs to bruise in order to heal. The bruising is just a sign of drawing in fresh blood flow. All right. Moving on to the outer upper chest. Not forgetting to get that under boob. If this makes you feel amazing, this helps you get stronger, whatever you feel after this, if it feels amazing for you and you feel like you got instantly stronger, I would love to hear, like, if you tried this protocol before you went and did bench press or shoulder press or any type of exercise and you got there and you beat your PR by a significant amount, please let me know. I would love to hear that. That'd be amazing, because personally, every time I do a fascia release, my workout that day is, I feel so much stronger, so much more connected to my body, because neurologically, our nervous system, it gets turned off when fascial adhesions occur, and our brains can't connect to every single muscle fiber when these fascial adhesions happen. So when we break up these fascial adhesions, we're reconnecting our brain to our muscle. We're reigniting that muscle, allowing for smoother movement, non-resistant movement. We're not adding new muscle. We're not instantly getting buff or anything. We're just removing that resistance that holds the muscle back from firing at its maximum capacity. I'm gonna do a little bit more on this upper chest. And then now I'm gonna go to the front delt. Getting all the way from the clavicle down to the bicep. You can start with halfway. Sometimes I like doing halfway. You might need more oil. I like to start doing halfway at the bottom and then halfway at the top as well is great. Just usually tends to work better. And this is usually a place that people bruise, right where that delt connects onto the humerus. You can hear it. A lot of times the bruising is going to happen on places that are bumpy. It'll be like, listen to this. Oh, yeah, it's some fascial adhesions, and look, there it is. There's the bruising. That's the fascial bruise, breaking up that stagnant tissue, drawing in fresh blood flow. All right, doing the upper half if you need to. A lot of times people bruise up in here. I used to bruise a ton right here, right here. I don't really anymore, but all right, going to that side delt. Moving on to the rear delt. I always like to scrape the muscles while they're in a stretched position. Tends to work wonders. This is also a place where you can ask for help from a partner, from a friend. I know this could be an awkward movement. Okay, moving on to that 12 and 13. Getting some help. I can already tell I'm pretty trapped right here. I might bruise. Moving on to the lat. Getting that lat in a stretched position. Hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. I love it so much. And just know that the benefits will show up, especially if you do this 3 to 4 times. The third or fourth time, you will notice a massive difference in your mood. When you notice a difference in your emotions, your mental clarity, your happiness, your mood, please share them with me. It would help me feel so amazing about sharing this, because I've experienced so many mental changes from doing this, and very grateful. All right, for this last little bit, we're just using our hands and we're gonna go over the rib cage. So you can see how my ribs are. I'm gonna take my fingers, I like using my middle fingers, and I'm gonna go over and press in between each rib line. I'm just gonna make a couple passes through these ribs, and you can even do your middle fingers and your thumbs. Playing around, maybe even just your thumbs. If you find something that works better, please share it with the community. Please let me know. Okay. Going on one line, 5 to 10 passes on one line. Okay, moving down a line. This is releasing the diaphragm and serratus, some other oblique abdominis muscles. Okay, going in between the ribs here. Make sure you have oil. You need oil for this part. Okay, going down another rib. Feels so good. The rib cage, there's a lot of crazy science behind the rib cage and emotional trauma. So working on this rib cage will do wonders for you. If you experience some wonders, please let me know. Okay, moving down one more line. And after you do this protocol a few times, you're gonna learn these techniques. You don't have to pull up this video every single time. You can do this in front of the mirror every night, just this one. If you feel that your ribs need more work, just do your ribs at night. You don't have to do this entire protocol. You can just do the single spots that make you feel the best. The point of doing this whole protocol is to show you all the spots that really experience the most dysfunction from our modern lifestyle and the sitting. Going down another line. Okay, getting lower here. I can tell my left side is a lot crunchier than my right. And you can even see a change. My rib cage on this side, it pokes out funnier because I have a little bit of rib flare, little uneven rib flare. And it's gotten a lot better since I started doing these protocols, and I've noticed a huge difference in my abdominal strength and within my handstand. But it's still not perfect, but I'm curious how long it will take And there's probably some more techniques I would need to add to mitigate the rib flare, but we'll see. All right, now we're gonna go up in underneath the rib cage, releasing underneath the rib cage. And really, lots of people hold a lot of tension right here. So even just this little spot, try it on top of the ribs, really not missing the middle. I've experienced a lot of trappedness in here. You can probably tell my abs are pretty developed. I used to work on a boat and I would have my shirt off all day. So I would, I wanted to walk around and I wanted to look good all the time. So I'd be flexing all day. And I feel like the side effect of flexing all day left me really tight in here and allowed my ribs to poke out right here. And now I'm learning. All right, this might be enough for you, but if you want to go in with the gua sha blade, be gentle to your ribs. The ribs are a great place, going all the way up and down the ribs here. I used to bruise pretty bad on my ribs. I don't as much anymore. I feel the places that need it though. I can feel what's tight and trapped. Just doing one side of the ribs, get in the middle, getting up underneath the chest, getting that whole serratus. Switching sides. All right, last thing, we are going to get underneath the rib cage again with the gua sha. I like doing it right here on the short spot. You can hear how crunchy I am. This protocol, my gosh, it's so in depth, it's so long, but it is so good. This is crazy. All right, getting all up under that rib cage, moving to the other side. I used to bruise so much right here. It's crazy, I don't bruise anymore. My right side bruised today, which is awesome because my left side, my whole left pec used to be covered in bruises. I'll put a picture on the screen.